My name is Amy DeKemper, and I'm a graduate school counseling student at Missouri Baptist University. And today I'm going to be speaking with you about providing services to students with invisible disabilities. Disabilities according to the ADA. A person with a disability is someone who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, has a history or record of such an impairment, such as cancer that is in remission, or is perceived by others as having such an impairment, such as a person who has scars from a severe burn. What is an invisible disability? Invisible disabilities are disabilities that are not immediately obvious, such as mental health conditions, neurodivergences, and energy limiting conditions. Some specific examples of invisible disabilities are dyslexia, anxiety disorder, POTS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, epilepsy, type 1 diabetes, autism spectrum disorders, specific learning disabilities, and bipolar disorder. Facts about invisible disabilities. Those with invisible disabilities may face challenges due to a lack of awareness and difficulty accessing support and services. It is estimated that 70 to 80% of disabilities are invisible. People living with invisible disabilities are frequently accused of faking a disability when needing an assistive device occasionally, or are told they don't look disabled and therefore they are not disabled. About 10% of the people in the United States have some kind of invisible disability. Often people are accused of faking or imagining their disabilities. Women are more affected by invisible disabilities, and 75% of people do not use assistive devices who have an invisible disability. So what's the school counselor's role in helping students with disabilities? School counselors need to provide services and develop programs to accommodate students with disabilities. Often these students are overlooked because of challenging nature of providing individualized programs and services that their disabilities may necessitate. Even though a majority of disabilities are invisible, there appears to be little to no research on helping students with invisible disabilities, which means that there is very little information available to help school counselors build programs to service students with invisible disabilities. Invisible disabilities in elementary, middle, and high school. Having an invisible disability can be very isolating, and there is potential stigma surrounding it. A high school student with a mental illness might not want to disclose that information to their friends, classmates, or teachers for fear of what others might think. An elementary school student might feel different than their peers because they have celiac disease and can't eat birthday treats brought to their class. Invisible disabilities affect people of all ages from infancy through old age. School counselors must be prepared to work with students with invisible disabilities at every grade level. Content areas affected by invisible disabilities. All aspects of a person's life are affected by a disability. Therefore, all content areas are affected in some way for students with invisible disabilities. Students' academic performance or abilities are affected by invisible disabilities in varying degrees. A student with dyslexia and a student with lupus could both potentially have struggles with academics, but one may be due to struggles to read versus the other being due to excessive absences due to illness. Students' social and emotional development can be affected by their invisible disabilities as well. They can be worried, embarrassed, depressed, or angry about having to deal with an issue their peers are not dealing with daily. Can you imagine how difficult it is for a child with type 1 diabetes who has to take insulin injections or check their blood sugar every day, looking around at their peers who don't have to worry about such adult topics? Students' career development is also impacted by invisible disabilities. Due to the disability, there are some jobs that will never be available to them. For example, a person with a diagnosis of hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective tissue disorder, will never be able to enlist in the military. The school counselor might be the person who has to break that news to a high school student. Counseling interventions for students with invisible disabilities. Due to the broad nature of invisible disabilities, there are many different interventions that could be effective in helping these students. Also, the interventions will change based on what issue the student is having and the age of the student. Dr. Cavici spoke to manipulating several key components in the counseling environment to help students with disabilities: developing the proper setting to meet in, communicating concretely, and providing structure and repetition. Many other counseling interventions can be used with students with invisible disabilities depending on the issues that they are dealing with at the time. Brief interventions, CBT, small groups, educational groups, and many others. Addressing invisible disabilities in a comprehensive school counseling program. Part of a comprehensive school counseling program is providing education to staff at the school about a subject. One way is by educating teachers on invisible disabilities in students to help provide more understanding and help eliminate the stigma surrounding students with these disabilities. Another part of a comprehensive school counseling program is advocating for change within the school. Students with invisible disabilities will often have IEPs or 504 plans. School counselors can advocate for more equitable services for these students with both administration and the school board. Future research opportunities. In my recent review of available literature on the topic of school counseling and invisible disabilities, I was unable to find one journal article that connected both school counseling and invisible disabilities. I believe there is a significant avenue for research that looks at how well school counselors are implementing their programs for students with invisible disabilities. Thank you for listening to my talk.